stop right there. There is an $8 device sitting in your backyard right now, buried in the dirt, and it can generate electricity around the clock. No solar panels, no lithium batteries, no power company, just two pieces of metal and the ground beneath your feet. Most American homeowners have never heard of this, and by the end of this video, you will know exactly what it is, how it works, and how to build one yourself before the weekend is over. Here in America, the average household spends around $150 a month on electricity. That is $1,800 a year, handed straight to the utility company. And if you have ever looked into going off-grid, the alternatives will make your jaw drop. A rooftop solar system with battery backup can run you anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 just to get started. Here at Creative Own Explainer, we dig into the energy solutions that nobody is selling you, because nobody can make a profit off them. This one has been proven for nearly 200 years. It was confirmed by a Northwestern University research team as recently as January 2024, and it has never once appeared on a single federal incentive list. Here is why. Let's start at the beginning and keep it simple. You have probably seen the lemon battery experiment. You push a copper penny and a zinc nail into a lemon, connect a wire, and a small LED blinks on. That lemon is acting as an electrolyte. It is a liquid full of ions, charged particles, that can carry electricity. The copper and the zinc are the two electrodes. And here is the key. Those two metals have very different appetites for electrons. Zinc is hungry to give electrons away. Copper wants to collect them. Put them both in a conductive liquid, connect a wire between them, and electrons rush through that wire from the zinc to the copper. That rush of electrons, that is your electrical current. An earth battery works on the exact same principle. The lemon gets replaced by moist soil. And here is the thing about soil that most people miss. Wet soil is not just dirt. It is full of dissolved minerals, salts, organic acids, and billions of living bacteria. When it is moist, it becomes a natural electrolyte. Not as powerful as the sulfuric acid inside your car battery, but it is free. It is everywhere under your feet, and it never runs out. A single copper and zinc cell buried in moist ground produces between half a volt and 1 full volt. The current coming off one cell runs between 1 and 5 milliamps. That is a small number, but this is where the engineering gets interesting. And this next part is the reason the energy industry has never told you about this. Here is what happens when you stop thinking about one cell and start thinking about an array. Wire 10 cells in series, meaning you connect the copper end of one cell to the zinc end of the next, down the line, and your voltage stacks up. 10 cells gives you somewhere between 5 and 10 volts. Wire 20 cells together, and you are looking at 10 to 20 volts of continuous electrical output. Now think about what you can actually do with that. A 12-volt LED light strip running outdoors draws around 5 watts. An earth battery array powers it continuously, day and night, with no panel facing the sun. A wireless soil moisture sensor draws less than 1 milliamp. A low-power security camera draws somewhere between 10 and 50 milliamps. A trickle charger keeping a 12-volt lead-acid battery topped off needs between 50 and 200 milliamps. None of those numbers require a $15,000 solar setup. All of them can be served by an earth battery array that costs less than a fast food lunch. And here is the part that separates this from every other budget energy idea you have seen. Unlike solar, an earth battery does not shut off at sundown. Unlike a lithium battery, it does not have a charge cycle limit where it dies and you pay full retail to replace it. The electrochemical reaction inside the soil runs continuously as long as the ground holds moisture. In most parts of the United States, that means your power source is effectively permanent. Now hold on, because there is actually a second source of electricity hidden in the earth, and most people have never heard of it. Back in 1847, a British telegraph engineer named W.H. Barlow was monitoring the English telegraph network and noticed something strange. His lines were carrying electrical current that he had not put there. He traced it, tested it, and confirmed the current was coming from the earth itself. These are called telluric currents. That is Telluric. They are natural electrical flows that drift through the upper layers of the Earth's crust. They are driven by the interaction between the solar wind and Earth's magnetic field, and they are always present. Here in the United States, the most dramatic proof of telluric currents happened on the night of September 2nd, 1859. The largest geomagnetic storm in recorded history hit the planet. Telluric currents surged so powerfully through the ground that telegraph stations caught fire across North America. Operators received electric shocks from their own equipment. Two operators on the line between Boston and Portland, Maine, disconnected their batteries entirely and held a 2-hour conversation using nothing but the natural current flowing through the earth beneath them. On the Western Union line between New York and Buffalo, earth currents measured 768 volts. Normal operating current on that line was just 35 milliamps. The earth current hit 300, nearly 10 times the standard. Now, when earth battery electrodes are spaced far enough apart and aligned roughly along the north to south magnetic axis, they can tap into these telluric flows on top of the standard galvanic reaction. The output goes well beyond what the chemistry alone would produce. That is not fringe science. That is documented, repeatable, published electrical behavior observed across more than 150 years of geophysical research. Stick around, because the history of who discovered this and who nearly got erased for it is something every American should know. Here is how old this technology actually is. In 1936, excavation workers at a site near Baghdad, Iraq, uncovered a collection of small clay jars. They dated to roughly 250 years before the Common Era. Each jar was about 5 inches tall and contained a rolled copper cylinder surrounding a single iron rod, sealed at the top. In 1940, the German director of the National Museum of Iraq published a paper arguing these were primitive galvanic cells. Modern recreations filled with vinegar produce between half a volt and 1.4 volts per jar. In 2005, the Discovery Channel's Mythbusters confirmed that 10 of those jars, wired together successfully, electroplated a silver object. That means a civilization over 2,000 years ago may have been using the same copper and metal electrochemistry that you can recreate in your backyard for $8. Fast forward to 1841, a Scottish clockmaker named Alexander Bain buried a pair of zinc and copper plates in the ground outside his workshop in London. He connected them with a wire and measured approximately 1 volt of continuous output, enough to run the electromagnetic pendulum of his newly patented electric clock. He went on to help invent the chemical telegraph and the earliest ancestor of the fax machine. Much of that work was powered by earth batteries. And then there is the American inventor most people have never heard of. In 1892, in Murray, Kentucky, a self-taught inventor named Nathan Beverly Stubblefield drove metal rods into the ground in the town square and transmitted clear human voice through the soil, across distances of 3,500 to 6,000 feet. No wires, no external power source. On May 8, 1898, he was issued U.S. patent number 600,457, an electrical battery made from an iron and copper coil buried in the earth. In 1991, the governor of Kentucky officially proclaimed Stubblefield the true inventor of radio. But Stubblefield died in 1928 in isolation, having destroyed every prototype he ever built. His name does not appear in any standard American history of electricity. Now, if you are thinking all of this is still just history and old experiments, what a research team at Northwestern University found in 2024 will completely change that assumption. In January 2024, a research team at Northwestern University published a peer-reviewed study on a soil-powered microbial fuel cell, roughly the size of a paperback book. The device used naturally occurring bacteria already present in ordinary dirt to break down organic matter and donate electrons to a buried conductor. In field tests, the device generated 68 times more power than the sensors it was running actually needed. It powered soil moisture monitors and motion-sensing wildlife trackers. It worked reliably in conditions ranging from 41% soil moisture all the way to complete submersion. Every single component purchasable at your local hardware store. The study was funded by the National Science Foundation, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Sloan Foundation, and 3M. The full design was published as open source, free schematics, free build tutorials, available online today. Separately, researchers at the University of California, Santa Cruz have been running real-world field tests of what they call mud batteries on working farms since 2022. Here in the United States, our own government funds this research. Our own universities publish the results. And then the same government's energy incentive list rewards you for spending $15,000 on lithium storage, while this sits on an academic database. That gap between what the science confirms is possible and what the market tells you to buy, that gap costs American homeowners real money every single month. And that is exactly why we cover this at Creative Own Explainer. Here is how to build your own earth battery array for under $8, using parts from any Home Depot or Lowe's lows in America. You need three things. First, copper. A 2-foot length of half-inch Type M copper pipe runs between $3 and $4. Cut it into sections 4 to 6 inches long. These are your cathodes, the positive electrodes where electrons arrive. Second, zinc. A box of galvanized steel nails, which are coated in zinc, costs $2 to $3. These are your anodes, the negative electrodes where electrons leave. Third, wire. A small roll of 18-gauge insulated copper wire runs about $1 to $2. Total cost for a 10-cell array, under $8 at current U.S. retail prices. Here is how you put it together. Dig 10 holes in moist ground, spaced about 12 inches apart. In each hole, push one copper section and one galvanized nail about 6 to 8 inches deep. Keep the two electrodes 3 to 4 inches apart from each other inside the same hole. Now connect them in series. Take a short wire and connect the copper electrode of hole 1 to the zinc nail of hole 2. Then the copper of hole 2 to the zinc of hole 3. Continue this pattern through all 10 cells. The exposed zinc nail at the very first hole, that is your negative terminal. The exposed copper section at the very last hole, that is your positive terminal. Clip a multimeter to those two terminals. You should read between 5 and 10 volts. If your reading is low, check your soil moisture first. If the ground is dry, water it. If the soil is sandy or mineral poor, dissolve 1 tablespoon of non-iodized salt in a cup of water and pour it near each cell. That boosts conductivity right away. Adding compost or aged manure around the electrodes introduces organic acids and bacteria that can significantly improve both voltage and current over time. To trickle charge a 12-volt lead-acid battery, wire at least 14 cells in series. Then add a $1 blocking diode to prevent current from draining back into your cells when not in use. For a permanent installation, use 3/4-inch copper pipe driven 12 inches into the ground alongside galvanized steel rods of equal length. Clay-rich or loamy soil holds moisture longer and carries more dissolved minerals than sandy soil. That means more stable, longer-lasting output. One critical warning: do not substitute stainless steel for galvanized zinc. Stainless steel is engineered to resist corrosion. That resistance is exactly what makes it useless here. You need active zinc and active copper. Corrosion-resistant metals cancel the entire electrochemical reaction. And be honest about the limits. This is not going to run your central air conditioner or your electric stove. Zinc electrodes will corrode over 1 to 3 years and need replacing. In dry climates or during extended drought, output drops as soil moisture drops. But for LED outdoor lighting, sensors, wireless monitoring equipment, and trickle-charging a battery bank, this works. It runs continuously day and night, and it costs $8 to build. Think about what you just learned. You now know that the dirt under your feet has been generating electricity since before Alessandro Volta built the first battery in 1800. You know the science was confirmed in a peer-reviewed study by Northwestern University in 2024. You know the only reason this does not appear on any federal incentive list is that nobody can sell it to you, not that it does not work. And you know how to build a working 10-cell array using parts from any hardware store in the United States for $8. That array can run your outdoor LED lighting, your garden sensors, your wireless cameras around the clock without adding a single dollar to your monthly utility bill. If you run even a modest outdoor LED setup year-round, an Earth battery array could offset $10 to $30 per month depending on your local electricity rates. That is $120 to $360 a year for an $8 one-time build. You now know more about off-grid electrochemistry than the vast majority of American homeowners ever will, and you built that knowledge in under 15 minutes. That is worth something. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment right now and tell me, do you have moist ground near your home where you could actually build one of these? Are you in the Midwest, the South, or the Pacific Northwest? Where does your soil stay moist year-round? I read every single comment personally, and if this video opened your eyes to how much energy is sitting untouched beneath your feet, I have already made a full video on the cheapest ways to trickle-charge battery banks without solar. It is lined up right after this one. If you do not want to miss the next one, subscribe to Creative Own Explainer. We do not cover what the energy industry wants you to buy. We cover what actually works and what you can actually afford. I will see you in the next one.